controlling the masses. And now, broadcasting live from our near-Earth hub studio, we bring you this NBN special report.
Hello and welcome to the 2026 Circuit Breaker Invitational. This is the finals today. We've had over 100 players competing last weekend to get 15 slots plus our Circuit Breaker from last year. And today, after maybe 6 or so hours of Netrunner, we're going to figure out who is going to culminate the 2025 Netrunner tournament scene to be this year's Circuit Breaker. My name is Andre from the Metro Grid. I'm excited to be streaming here on Nil Signal Games. I just want to say hi and let everyone know that behind the scenes, I'll be running some stream stuff. Unfortunately, today, my voice is not keeping up with me, feeling a bit under the weather. So I'm going to be mostly on mute and just doing things behind the scenes. But I don't think you're in for a good time because we're joined by a lot of great people. And specifically, Thrantar, how are you doing tonight?
Doing quite well, thank you. Looking forward to the ongoing weather.
We're going to have an exciting night today. Again, we're showing on the screen here. This is 16 players, 5 from each of the 3 pods, plus our Circuit Breaker Kikai, who's come back. Hasn't played a game so far in this tournament series, but we have some stiff competition. I just want to show really quickly, we have a visual bracket for us put together. So to understand how it works here at the top, the first place the 16th, the second place the 15th, third place the 14th, and so on and so forth. And in first round, really importantly, the top players, the players from 1 to 8 spot, with open deck lists, which what this tournament is, they have decided which side of the matchups they want to play. So this round, you are going to see matchups which the top players, those players in red, I believe have chosen. I think they're red. I think that's how that works. But we're going to see this graphic be updated throughout the evening. Shout out to Cror. Another very important thing, this is double elimination. So any player can lose 1 game and still win the entire tournament. It's once you find your second loss in this bracket. Unfortunately, that'll be the end of your Circuit Breaker 2025 run. or 2026, excuse me. So it looks like we're off, actually. I'm just going to throw to the tables. Welcome to game one. This is Pincel playing Footgun PD. We have an advancement in a remote server. Hoshiko starting, trying to see if she can get through ice. Again, this is open deck lists.
Neat. And one of the significant things about Open Deck List is that the ice available is public information. So there's no consideration of, is this a potential scary face check? You know what the potential face checks are? You can decide for yourself, how scary is it?
Now
But it
let's
looks like Philgems here is electing to set up some economy with a Nuka and a Fermenter, and also a quick check to get the flip. And it was a Midnight 3 being advanced in server 1 for the Corp. Advance, advance, advance. Score the Midnight 3. Handful of cards. 3 credits. Pass the turn back.
Pincel here is playing Footgun. This is an archetype that he's been playing for a while. It's really cool to see. He's been playing a Netrunner for such a long time. Now with an open HQ, this deck is going to have a lot of combo pieces. It's going to be very quick. Again, we're not icing centrals, just building the remote server. Now with greasing, nano management, and cards like your digital life, Pincel should be able to bounce back pretty aggressively. So we'll see how quickly Williams can get set up to challenge the remote server, because it's definitely going to be coming into play just next turn. Rising Tide's a good start.
And a Twister Docket to generate some Drippycon, and also potentially to provide a source of recurring credits. As I go pull up this deck list, but I suspect there is at least one twinning.
There's
Yes, there are 2 copies of the twinning.
There's your digital life. Again, this is going to give a lot of credits. Not only does PD have that 6 hand size, but a Midnight 3 Arcology when scored. You draw 3 cards to an uniced HQ, but you're not discarding this turn. So Pincel can know whether we have to do install and then a second ice to force another problem that Williams has to break, or whether that first ice is just going to do enough here. My guess is that the ice in this deck is not incredibly big. A lot of it's like mid-range stuff, things like Scatterfield, things like those cheap code gates that end the run. So we'll see exactly what Pincel wants to do here to protect the server and threaten out a seamless score.
Yeah, definitely very small ice on the whole. It's Drafter, Scatterfield, Tithe, White Space, and Massacre Offcast, the only ice. Which also means that there is not a especially scary face check. Drafter firing can be a little awkward.
Yeah, that was a
White Space can attack some, but
really interesting ordering on the turn there. Last click was greasing the palm for Spin Doctor to res in the discard. In theory, if you want to do the Spin Doctor, you want to do that as soon as possible to get more options. So we'll see what Pincel's cooking here, whether he realized he needed to discard a card at end of turn, what's in this remote server. But yeah, very interesting ordering there. Now, Williams, we'll see if the face check here. Again, the Maskarovka is largely defanged by Rising Tide, and we'll see the face check with the Gourmand, whether we're going to pressure HQ or just go straight into the remote. Only 2 credits, one with Ataka. So you'll be able to break, I believe, all the barriers in the list. I don't think we have bronze or anything super big. Correct me if I'm wrong.
no, there's nothing particularly big. And in fact, I believe the only barrier is the Massacre off 2 copies.
HQ's the check. Gourmand will trash the nano management, but finding an Ingaton 2 points. That's a credit for Trickster Taka. Getting Hoshiko or continuing Hoshiko to stay digital to trade the card for the credit. So whatever's in this remote server did survive a turn. We'll see if Pincel seamlesses out the Luminal and just have this absurd 7-click turn. Now having to discard.
So there actually are no seamlesses in this list.
Oh, get out. Cool.
It is a full set of 3 nano managements. There's also some red level clearances for some other click compression, along with
Yeah.
um,
I think actually the read is server
wage
one's a wage workers here. So we might see a combo from hand where you want to protect the wage workers, and then it's very easy to play 3 operations. In fact, this turn we're already started there. Paying 1 credit and getting the click back from red level. Now actually just straight to triple vance. It's a Luminal. Pincel cannot ask for better there on the table. Now technically on game point, this deck has 2 send a messages. Now that is going to require a bit of a combo. Your digital life coming back immediately be played for 5 credits, and greasing is going to put something straight into server 1. We know there's a nano management in hand, so nano management and wage workers can score out a 4-2. With 2 more operations, this can score out a 5-3 straight from hand. It's so important to find that last 5-3, unless Pincel wants to go with a bit of a longer line, scoring 2 more agendas.
Mhm. Now, there are 2 potential pinhole threadings available for Vilgems to check this server 1 and potentially diffuse a wage workers.
Yeah, we'll see the fermenters cracked there, but ice on HQ again. Gourmand, we do know there's a nano management in hand. Let alone the operations are super valuable. So Williams
Yes.
backed against the wall. Trickster Taka, she'll present some issues with the tag if you can't use her. So at least in a minimum while you're running, you can always boost your Rising Tide. It feels wasteful, but it keeps the Taka happy. And with 9 credits, Williams only has 2 clicks left to contest the server, put some pressure on. Pincel healthy on 14 credits, as much as the combo does. At a minimum, costs around like 11 to 13 to score at a 5-3, I think.
Yeah, I can't say that I know that one offhand.
I think it's 11. I bet the pinhole. We'll see if this 2 for wins the spin doctor, or whether wage workers in the remote server just gets gourmanded.
And when
Oh, it just
trading
sent a
is
message on the table. Williams
on
has
the table.
1 click to run that. Otherwise, if Pincel has double nano into 5-3, again, that cost 5 plus 4 plus 4. That's, 13. The face check here
13?
might not have the credits to score out. But Williams,
13, although Mascarovka does rebate 2 potentially.
but we can break it, right?
Yes.
This
2
has to
scatters,
be
Rising Tide, just Taka credits.
this has to be a cheap code gate. And it's a scatter field, so not the cheapest code gate. But leaving Pincel on 11, is there any way he can score this out next turn? Again, this can install a card from HQ. This deck doesn't have a lot of burst assets. But wait,
There's humanoid resources, but that's
that's your
3
turn.
credits,
Yeah,
3
still,
clicks. That's your turn.
that would be quite nice here. You can also put a second ice on server 1 just to force out another issue. It does lower the strength of Scatterfield, but a drafter could be relevant. Interesting face check here. Again, the 5-3 in the remote server, no seamless launches in the deck. So at a minimum, if you want to do 2 nano managements into 5 advancements, we're 2 credits short, which means even a single red level clearance doesn't get you there. And it looks like Pincel's thinking here. You can even use this to install a 3-2 on the table. You can even install on top of the 5-3, getting into the bin, and then just score the 3-2 next turn if we have another Ingaton in hand. Like, you have some options. It looks like we're just going to end the run, not install anything from hand. And again, we do know the nano, but we don't know much else. Williams thinking here, discard is a Paladin
Is
Plemo.
being pitched.
Spin Doctor
He's
shuffling red level.
back.
Oh, Pincel's trying to find the red levels to give enough money to score this out. The read is like double red level, double nano. That seems so absurd. But just having the clickless draw too seems incredibly valuable here. We'll see what Pincel does. Again, with the Spin Doctor out, he's committing not to save this agenda, install on top of it, send it to the bin. Fascinating play. So we'll see what he can do here. Again, our opponent has full information, what's on the table, what the ice is, what's behind it, and it's a very important 5-3. There's only 2 in the deck. With 8 credits.
I don't necessarily see the rush. This Scatterfield is not currently answered. That's going to be at least a click to install a decoder, and then probably some credits to install the decoder, and then probably also some additional credits. Although the Leech and the Trishita can
Yeah,
definitely
you're
help
breaking for
supporting
free.
that.
Like, any way that gets through this ice usually gets down for just the install cost. What is the Buzzsaw, Botulus,
Yes.
right? Like, you're sending it through here. And this deck is probably very light, in fact, on no defensive upgrade, so Pincel's giving it a think.
There are 2 Managram Skunkworks in the list.
Oh, perfect.
For
That's a
defensive
start.
upgrades.
Yeah. So as long as Villain keeps 5 credits, that is the minimum. 2 clicks is another option. So we have with Hoshiko, we're going to be starting our turn on 7 credits, 3 Tixter Chaka credits, and we've drawn through nearly half our Hoshiko deck. So finding a way to deal with a single Koge at this point, I would say it's likely Williams has something here. All right, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're joined by Lucy. Lucy, how's it going?
It's going good. Is my audio okay? Sorry, we've not had time to do a proper stream check.
No, it's okay. Things sound good. I'm glad you could join us. I'm going to throw myself on mute, so the 2 of y'all enjoy the rest of this game. This has been really exciting.
All right. Okay. Let's catch myself up with what's happening here. Mid game, Hoshiko versus PD board state. This is. Do we have access to the deck lists somewhere?
Yes, this is.
I know
yes,
the
we have access to
players
deck lists
do.
in Cobra. This is open deck lists for the top cut.
Okay, let me go find what breaker package.
So the breaker package is 2 Buzzsaw, 3 Rising Tide, 2 Echelon, and then 2 Leechers to supplement.
So probably digging for a way in. With the Leech, the Buzzsaw is eminently more usable into the scatter field.
Absolutely. But with the Kek install, okay, clean that way. It's going to rebuild the credit count up to potentially challenge next turn.
And what agenda suite is Pencil on?
It is 1 Luminol, 3 Midnight 3, 2 Ingaton, 2 Send a Message. And a Luminol and Midnight 3 have been scored. This is a 5/3 we know of in server 1. It is a Send a Message.
Send a message for the game.
And that's going to be the game. So that will wrap up table 5. Yes, table 5.
Yes.
And of course, this is a double elimination tournament. We will see both of these players continue on into the tournament. But for now, we will leave and find another table to spectate.
Let's have a look at what is available. Why don't we see if table 7 is available?
All right, I'll hop in and check. All right, we are good to spectate on table 7. This is Analyze Chris on Smash Show versus That's No Mun on Epiphany Analytica.
Always an interesting fight between Sebastian and an NBN deck.
And I am seeing an Audrey with 7 virus counters.
That is a heavily laden Audrey. You have to be wondering how many fly swatters is that snowman on?
Well, that is a question I can easily answer. And the answer is 0.
The answer is 0. So basically, any server can be run. And with a crew charm, even a purge is not going to slow that down.
Well, it will perhaps slow it down a little, but it's certainly not a sovereign cure.
Takes a tag and sees the IP enforcement, so definitely a game where we're going to be playing tags versus tags.
Yes.
I suspect the angle that Snowman is going to have to look for here is finding a well-timed Oppo research that Seb can't quite dig out of.
So one potential other thing I'm seeing is that this list is playing a full 3 copies of working prototype. Maybe there can be some prototype.
I don't see how it can stay on the table for long enough to do anything with this much Audrey power and the crew charm setup.
Yes.
Both players on 0 credits, so a very scrappy board state.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that can help prototypes stay on the table is just there not being credits to trash.
Definitely.
But certainly, even getting 1 bounce to the top of the deck can disrupt a tremendous amount of momentum.
Now, in terms of expended resources, we are down all 3 strike funds now, having just sent 2 of them to the price.
So I suspect one of these will be shuffled back in with the buffer drive.
And that's exactly what happens. And we grab Gourmand.
I mean, Gourmand, the only legal choice. I'm not sure is quite what Analyze Chris was after there. Certainly the unconditional trash is nice. The discount value is perhaps not quite as high.
A last quick run here does risk touching a tomorrow's headline, say, and ending up tagged over the turn, but just a balanced coverage.
Still going back down to 1 credit for Analyze Chris.
But if that's no man can't raise the Archives ice, then Seb's recovery lines are incredible.
Yes.
Still 1 privileged access unaccounted for, and a friend of a friend in the bin. So the potential to burst up by a very significant credit total very quickly if Archives is runnable. I'm assuming that all 3 privileged accesses are in the deck.
There are only 2.
Only 2? Okay, so we are out of privileged access. So we are now just trying to float until the Ashen, with 6 cards left in the deck. The Largo hitting Steelskin for an immense turn. Solidarity meaning we've opened with 9 cards to play with. The Ashen Epilogue is not in the bin, so one of the remaining 13 cards is the all-important Ashen. Though if it is lost, we have the buffer to bring it back.
Yeah, there's the buffer to protect it. Whether
unless
via the direct buffer recycle or the potential...
Ashen Epilogue was buffered to the bottom earlier during the game, so it is at a known position in the stack.
Okay. Hollow Man located. Hollow Man... I mean, I guess it used to be located, but it's now located in Archives.
Which takes away a valuable scoring line. Being able to Epiphany out a Stoke the Embers, which then primes the Hollow Man to finish it off.
Yes.
You can still score out Stoke, I think, from 2 credits here, but you need a bit more setup. It's a lot more difficult than just use the Hollow Man. I think a Stoke really the line we're looking for here to also help beef up that Missing Chess, though, which right now is not doing much. I'm assuming the agenda suite is the sort of Crypto Crash Stoke package.
3 crypto, 3 Stoke, 1 tomorrow's headline, 2 freedom, 1 off.
2 freedom, 1 off. So not all in on the freedom strategy. Shoring up HQ and taking money. Well, sometimes you do just have to click for credits to get out of the money hole.
After the rest of this ice, although much of this ice is still like the Starlit Knight is still not resable at 3.
I think even if the ice does get rezzed, very little ice does anything in this board state with 7 Audrey and Quick Charm on the table. Really, ping is probably the most impactful ice right now for its on-res text. Unless there's a Funhouse or a Seraph or something in the deck.
There are 3 virtual service agents.
Okay, yep, VSA works. I think at this point you probably just crew out the VSA if you run into it to not have to deal with it.
I think so. It just deal with it once and then be done. Don't have to keep dealing with it.
Although, equivalently as Seb, it's an easy source of tag, and if you don't think there's a B1001 you care about...
This is true. There are other tag punishments. There's actually 1 shipment from Bledisbursk in this list.
2 tags to work.
Does need 2 tags.
If you're confident there's not a table freedom, you can float a tag or just take the tag and clear it yourself.
Yes.
Although the Valentina ended up in the bin earlier in the game. That was trashed, actually, by the basic action. We had a tag floated earlier and it led to the Valentina being removed. So that's the story of how she ended up there. Chasing out a warm reception, very important to keep off the board. And another one. I mean, the double warm push, if you got to keep one of those, that does give you a pretty good tempo back into the game, especially the uniced one for its political text. But not being allowed to keep them. Analyze Chris just playing a very precise control game here. I wonder if server 8 is known. Server 8 was... server 8 is known to be a B1001.
Okay.
It was run earlier in the game and not trashed. Unless there was an overinstall, but I don't see any. So I'm pretty sure we're confident that that's a B1000. There's the reveal. And back in the game, economically speaking at least. But 8 credits and no board is still not a good answer to what is about to be a reset deck, Ashened up Sebastio with Crew Charm and 8 Audrey counters. Finally chasing out the B1000.
Unfortunately, the B1001 cannot protect itself.
Ping gives another Araceris install off of the tag. We pitch Strike Fund to boost, putting us above the 5 credits needed to play the Ashen if we're looking to do that this turn. And with only 2 cards left in the deck, and we've seen more than that be bottomed, the Ashen is guaranteed to be in hand right now. Just on pure draw maths. Clears the tag, goes back to being poor, and just takes credits. Leaves the working prototype. So we're saying it no longer matters that the Epiphany is able to have money because they don't have a board. And money alone doesn't get you there. Which, are there any fast advance options that aren't from hand? That don't require a board? Obviously, we've got the Hollow Man to set them up.
That don't require a board.
A shipment?
Not that I see offhand.
Yeah, just the shipment. So as long as we clear the tags, which one of them removed with Solidarity Badge, the other one removed with money.
Mm-hmm.
And chasing down the remote. Got to keep the Hollow Man off the board. If another one is coming out. We do see 2 of them in the bin, so there's probably 1 unaccounted for if there's 3 in the deck. Ooh! Tomorrow's headline.
Tomorrow's headline
Means a floated tag.
Floated tag.
We'll have to see what that snowman can do to capitalize on that tag.
There is a retribution.
Retribution on the Audrey would be pretty big here. Equally, getting rid of those crews. A bit less value than it might otherwise be, as we're expecting an Ashen soon.
Ashen's about to come in, yeah.
And needing to spend real money to clear the tags. Buff, okay, yeah, Largo trashes Marrow, which gets bottomed. And bigger picture, just sapping the economy and follow-up Oppo.
Okay, that's actually pretty awkward.
Yeah, just saying, hey, you can't win the game before I'm able to win if I bury you in 4 tags, turning off all of your tag dancing with Seb.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you have 4 tags anyways, why not have a 5th?
And gain back enough credits to be back in the game. Now, if server 8 is a B1000, the game is still very afoot. If this lands, that's a big swing back in Analyze Chris's favor, simply requiring him to make sure that he chases out any agendas so he can't get shipment from Vladid. But you said it was 1 shipment from Vladisibus? That's only, I assume, 2 points. Are there 5/3s in the deck? Is there a next big thing?
Then, no, there are no 5/3s.
Yeah, then that's only representing a 2-point swing. So,
although there could be potentially an artificial crypto crash to keep the economy down.
Yep, and there is an IP enforcement in the deck.
There is an IP enforcement in the deck. I believe we saw that go by at some point.
It was accessed, but nothing was done with it.
Okay.
So it's still in HQ. So you can IP enforcement back something here. Obviously, in an ideal world, you want to be IP enforcementing back a Stoke, but you can get there with any of these, especially because we know there's a shipment in hand as well.
There are, however, no credits. There is the Regolith Mining Company, which will represent some credits in the future.
Click Regolith, play IP enforcement shipment does get you there, but
there were points in archives. And
in archives.
Many points in archives.
I mean, when you're being that held off and controlled by a sort of late game set board state, it doesn't really matter where the agendas are, as long as they're not being seen. And hand was being run quite a lot when we first joined. How long have we got left in this round?
We should have time for one more, potentially.
One more. Shall we? It's round one. Have we checked in on our circuit breaker yet? Or are we saving that for a later round?
We have not yet checked in our circuit breaker.
Shall we hit up table one?
Sure, I can hop in and check.
Perfect. Okay, dropping in to 3 agenda points apiece, mid to late game, Alco versus Lat. The Lat is Kikai's Audrey Lat, supported by propellers for dealing with your Samaximans. We do have a single power counter FUT in the remote and a cohort that has not been challenged. As we go back over to Kikai's turn. We are cataloger running.
Cataloger access here.
Yep, and no way presented on the table to deal with it. So potentially, if we hit 4 points, that's just the game.
Yes. Cataloger is being used to rearrange.
Now, importantly, with 4 Alco counters, getting some points here, or perhaps seeing a Moonpool we want to remove or similar. It's points.
It's Project Yakuda.
And do we see a run back for the game? We do! Oh, Cataloger finding 3 points. Is the 3rd Regenesis on top?
Well,
and a run back.
We're about to find out.
Just getting rid of a measured response. Now, important to note that with this many Alco counters, the Cataloger loses some utility because you can't bury cards with it. Anything that is left there is pretty much going to get seen instantly. So, really needing to prioritize chasing out problematic cards rather than just burying them is a great line there from Kekai.
Yes. Although with the draw power, it does mean that there's a fresh 4 cards to see potentially next turn with the next Cataloger counter.
It does. But again, with 7 Audrey, unless we're on Fly Swatters or Mavirus, it's pretty hard to jam anything.
There is 1 Fly Swatter.
A single Fly Swatter. So a single Fly Swatter could be the linchpin that gives our job the line they need to win. Just push behind it and say between, Audrey Propeller as your breaker suite. There is an Oiler in the bin, but currently no way to bring it back. In fact, where are our simul chips? We're 2 chips in the bin. So 1 chip unaccounted for, presumably, and an Oiler in the bin. And Ashen in the bin. So we are running out of ways to get through if this you get through a Fly Swatter on sort of the turn where it matters. But on only 3 points, the question is, can our job find a way to turn a single Fly Swatter of safety into 4 points, which would need to be a Regenesis push, basically. And with 2 of them gone, that's going to be quite hard to achieve. The other angle to win this game, just hurling measures at them, which we know one is in the bin and was just chased out, and so we have 2 measures unaccounted for.
No, there is 1 measure unaccounted for. This is listed only on 2 measured responses.
It's only on 2 measures, right? Of course, because it's what is the rest of the influence spend?
So 3 spin doctors and 2 humanoid resources.
2 humanoids, right? It's the humanoid list. Yeah. So with only 1 measured in play, as long as Kikai doesn't deck himself, landing that kill is going to be quite difficult. Icing Archives potentially setting up for the eventual Regenesis push behind Fly Swatter or equivalent play to find the win.
And the slot list does have a copy of Buffer Drive for the Audrey support, but it can also help against incidental decking out pressure.
And can bring back the Ashen, which I think is really important here. So not losing that buffer drive to be able to restore, to be able to return the Ashen to hand, to deck, is going to be a very important thing here. Taking 2 damage to an errant enemy, fortunately hits Echelon and SMC, so if the buffer is in hand, it's still safe.
Yes.
Second SMC taken to the damage, though, so that's 2 SMCs out on a single run.
Yes, but this is a cataloger here.
If there's any points, you just run back, and still no way to shuffle being presented. Exactly. I mean, all 3 spins are removed from the game, and 1 moon pool, so it's only moon pools left to protect against this cataloger.
And they are not installed in any server.
They are not. If the win is there, then it's just a straightforward run back. Anemone does not end the run. And even if it did, we do have 6 Audrey counters still.
Yes, however, we are not seeing the immediate run back, so I suspect the win is not quite there.
5 cards deep, perhaps.
So this is only 12 cards left in R&D. There is, I wouldn't say, any imminent danger of loss by decking for the Corp, but
9 of those cards are accounted for on the Alco draws at the moment. So at some point, the Alco draws might need to start being declined.
Yes.
Just to have enough game time left.
Time left to use the cards, exactly.
Kikai does take the run back, so I wonder if it's a high value asset on top rather than the win. And the deliberation was, is it worth being poor to deal with it? It is a high value asset. It's the second moon pool. So that's now presumably 1 moon pool left. And
1 moon pool left.
Are there any more hybrid releases?
There are 2 in the list.
So 1 more hybrid release. So we could see tempo hybrid release purely to fire off that FUT damage and try to snipe the buffer drive out of hand. That might be another way back into this game. Not in the top 3, or Kikai would have won.
Yes. It could potentially be an HQ. There are 4 cards in HQ. I'm not sure they're all known.
Definitely a possibility.
Thinking about cohort guidance program options.
That's the hybrid damage, potentially. Yep.
Is the hybrid damage.
And do we hit the all-important buffer? Overclock and sure gamble. Buffer drive lives to see another day.
Add an install into server 10. Which is...
It could be as simple as just
humanoid
table.
resources?
Yeah, humanoid
Or
resources.
Moonpool.
It could be table Moonpool. Could just be saying you won't check it, but I think Kikai will.
I don't see the... Kikai does not seem to be stressed on click count.
Just another cohort. 10 cards left in R&D.
I don't know that there's any need to trash it. There's just not enough cards left to feed these cohort guidance programs.
Yeah. Well, I think Kikai just leaves the cohort because it can't advance anything that's not already on the table, and we're clearing the table. And if our job wants to use it to draw deeper, that feels like a big risk given
Yes,
the number of cards left in this deck.
absolutely. Although there is still Moonpool, but
there's no way to set up a big Moonpool, so you would just be Moonpooling out 2 points at most.
Yeah, Moonpool for 2 points is not game. It does tie a time, I guess, but
yeah, could just be playing for time and hoping to be able to Moonpool out on the time call turn. It's a very risky strategy.
definitely some very interesting decisions. Ton of counters here on Akko, but 4 cards left in R&D. I'm not sure how many counters you can afford to spend.
Just increasing complexity. But there's
Yeah.
4 cards left.
There's a bunch of face downs and archives.
Whatever's on the table is going to have to be incredible to do anything with only 4 cards left. Blank fart.
Yeah, the duplicate fut does not do anything. Humanoid resources is...
just gets chased out.
You just die? Like, this humanoid resources is not usable, I think.
You could use it and
Yeah,
then mandatory draw. And then install a Moonpool and use that to reset cards into the deck.
Okay.
It is not technically blank. It is mostly blank. But I think this is it. I don't see the way out here. I mean, perhaps the way out is you're just hoping that Kiko makes a mistake and drops too low on hand size. And you can do a kind of find a scoring line and chip the damage away, but
there's not like a 1x blood in the water for...
feels unlikely.
Yeah, there's not. I just checked the list. There's Longevity Serum that's already been scored.
That's time in the round, and so I think that even if we could score 2 points here, Kikai is the higher seed.
I don't know how that works here.
Neither do I. I would assume the defending Circuit Breaker gets given highest seed, but yeah. So unless there is some miracle 3-point scoring line here, I think that this one goes to Kikai, holding the winner's bracket to start the defense of his title. Large Orb concedes the game.
And some very textbook control coming in from the lat.
Very strong control gameplay there.
And that advances us to round 2. If we can get the current standings up on the screen.
So looking at the results that are in, we have got staying in winner's bracket, Kikai, Cold Lava, Minstrel, Thomas Haas, Pinsel, That's No Man, Bullfinch, and we are just waiting on the result from Table 6, with everyone else dropping down to the chase bracket and trying to find their way back up and stay in it until the end.
Yes, well, getting out to a strong start is certainly important and valuable. Getting out to a strong finish is perhaps even more so.
It is looking like the game 6, table 6 has got a time extension, so I think we should throw to a break as we wait for that game to wrap up.
All right.
Okay, you're
And we are back. We have the result from the game we did not get, and I believe it is Tyrus advancing over Man in the Moon to face off against Pinsal. But we are going to jump into table 14 when it starts, which will be Minstrel playing Ob as Corp versus Thomas Haas on Sable as Runner in the upper bracket still.
Indeed, and it looks like we are live in game.
Now, to do a quick deck tech, Minstrel's Ob looks to be a fairly standard Scrobs style list, but with a Hollow Man as its alternate scoring line with its spare influence. Some people are opting for an extra Bass. Hollow Man works as well. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And for the key ice to watch, it's 2 Stavka, 2 Winchester. And on the other side of the table, we have got Thomas Haas's Sable, which, skimming it, looks to be a fairly typical good stuff Sable pile with the notable inclusion of the Anarch Companions and a single copy of Alarm Clock, with Wake and Zenith as cybernetics, but unless I'm missing it, not the cybernetic factor to go with them.
Correct. I'm not seeing Tremolo in there. It is just going to be a pair of Kudapira and a Chesva to help fuel the breakers.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noting here is this is a 1 Carmen, 1 Revolver list. So especially if the Carbon ends up buried, the Revolver could get taxed out early.
At which point you are confined to Boomerang Gaming. Although
Boomerang
we
Gaming,
do
there is
have
a mutual favor to help find Carbon potentially.
and also a single copy of Reprise, which could be all important at chasing out a rezzed sentry at a key moment.
Yes, Reprise, especially with the Hermes, can generate some really explosive turns, and with the potential deep dig from the Wake implant, could potentially come up as a fire the Wake implant, get the 4-card dig, get the Reprise, get into the remote.
If we do end up taxed out, Stavka is extremely boomerangable, and Winchester is just a money check.
Yes.
And Scrobs can generate an absurd amount of money, but if you can keep it down with transfers of wealth in the early game, it can also struggle to keep itself high enough off the ground. And I suspect a lot of the outcome of this game is going to come down to where exactly those transfers end up and how they hit through the first 3 to 4 turns of the game.
The singleton alarm clock can also be an interesting method of generating some pressure through Winchester.
It can. So here we see a Ice HQ and then a remote push into Sure Gamble Nuka Nuka. Market is Archives, so we can take a free run event on Archives if we draw into Clean Getaway, say.
It's just a Carpe Diem?
For all intents and purposes, the same role. And the turn 1 Paladin.
Very nice promise of future value.
Wall to wall in the remote, placing advancement counters. Now, not all of the Scrobs decks are on real advanceable ice, and skimming the list, I'm not seeing a tree line.
There is no real advanceable ice here, so
that is purely just for fun.
Yes. Unfortunately, Red Planet Couriers is no longer with us.
You can still use them in current standard using Hearts and Minds, but that is not in the
Yes,
list.
there's Hearts and Minds, but there's no Hearts and Minds in the list.
So it is, and both players, if they are paying attention to deck lists, are well aware of this fact. So the without a tree line, it is just for fun wall-to-walls, and that final mode isn't important. Interestingly, often the most important mode in this matchup of the wall-to-wall is the draw. This ob list very much has a step 1 score a 5-3 game plan, and that requires you to find the 5-3
yes,
and the pieces needed to score it. And so the number of wall-to-walls that end up just being a slightly more expensive to trash CSR campaign is quite high. Thomas Haas is contesting the remote, very important to do here, because technically a table basalt push is possible. It costs 3 credits and it requires you to have exactly 2 slash and burn in hand. But it can be done. Alternative, we are too poor for here, which would be server 3 being a wage workers into triple advanced slab. So
yes.
no, unless it's exactly 2 slab in hand, and then perhaps spin dock to server 3 to shuffle them back. The 5-3 is not being threatened currently. Mavirus to fetch Regolith, and then
Yes,
one must assume simply pursuing the money.
and this is quite a bit of money.
It is. On 11 credits, there are now many, many more lines available. Nano management, server 3 being, the best line being threatened here is server 3 is a Svitagor, trashes the Resd Maskarovka for our wage workers, and then nano management install triple advanced slab. We'll get there. So
there is no nano management.
There's no nano in this list. You're right. It's on the Hollow Man. So we are actually not threatening a basalt score here through any of the conventional lines. If server 3 is the Hollow Man, we would be, but that would be a very bold push.
I mean,
just
you can
uniced server 3.
turn the Maskarovka into the Hollow Man with the Svigator.
You can. You only get 2 advancements from it, and it doesn't synergize with wage workers. I don't know if you have a scoring line off of that. I would need to think very hard about it.
With Flash and Birds, you certainly can put something together, but
yeah, yes, 2 from first click install, 2 from Hollow Man, 2 from Slash and Burn, 1 real advance gets you there. So yes, you do need the slab in hand, but it does get there. It is just a second wall to wall, however. With second wall to wall, there is no line being threatened here. I feel confident saying.
Extract Maskarovka into Hollow Man, install Hollow Man.
You would need the agenda already on the table in order to it. I think it's possible. It's possible with nano management, because then you can extract into wall-to-wall nano management.
Nano management, yep.
Play another operation, and you've gotten click neutral there. But
yeah, no, I don't quite see it. I agree. So
this, however, is the Hollow the only upgrade in the list?
There is a second Mavirus.
Okay, so second Mavirus or Hollow Man, down behind ice. I'm expecting. Probably we are looking at some end the run code gates here. Most likely white spaces, or are we on Afshar in this version? We are not.
There are no Afshars.
So it is just white space for our end the run code gates, it looks like.
Yes, there are 2 pinholes for Thomas Haas. This upgrade could potentially be challenged with a pinhole.
I think if he has the pinhole, it might be wise to, because I think that can only really be, it can only be Hollow Man or Mavirus, and both of those are things you really want to get rid of here. Remote contest is also a strong play. If it is a push table basalt, then the boomerang might be enough. Not seeing a res and it's a boomeranged card makes me think that that's quite likely, especially given that there was an above the law pushed in there. I wonder if it is, say, Stavka. Stavka in front of a push is a nice line because you can trash the push with
You
the
trash whatever the
Stavka.
breaker is for the.
Exactly. But with the boomerang there, that gets shut down completely. Now,
Yeah, I mean,
if
really, the only ice
one,
that shuts down the boomerang, looking at this ice suite, is the envelopment is big enough. But
yeah. Now, if server 1 is a Hollow Man, you could move it over and then have a line, and it not being moved over makes me think it might be that second Mavirus. Alternatively, with the above the law gone, we just don't have a 5-3 yet. The Water Wall has not been able to CSR campaign into it. It is the Mavirus going for another Regolith,
Regolith.
just exhausting the load-bearing Regolith and trying to have enough money to win the game.
So it is time for more money. And it is time to use the clickability of cards, as this is a Nuka.
Leech is going to incentivize running singles on R&D, and we do see just that.
Get a credit, and it is the Class Act.
Draws a big pile of cards. Regolith Ob chains into a Tithe on R&D. And a new jam. But we already know that that outermost doesn't seem particularly resible. So this might just be incentivizing spending some money, though it does get the third counter on the Kurapira,
although
which makes the envelopment a lot less threatening.
Yeah. The envelopment is definitely well worth spending a Kurapira counter to get through cleanly.
I think, yeah, Kessleroid is the thing you really want to be using to farm those counters, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we see them not get rezzed or get extracted or excavated off.
Yes. But Maskrovka is not terrible, especially if one turns upon centrals and there's a Chesva support or there's some leech counters.
And you're not unhappy if you end up spending Kuru counters to go through a Matryoshka, Maskrovka. Obviously, you want to save it for the envelopment, but hey, the envelopments might be the bottom two cards of the deck. You can only be so precious with your resources.
Yes. I mean, fully bypassing a Maskrovka's 4 credits saved.
Yeah. Which, when you're trying to play under threat of measured response, which it's worth noting, any access at this point could turn on measured response.
Yes.
So you do need to be
4 credits earned.
You do need to be proactively playing under that sort of effective floodgate effect of needing to have 4 cards and 8 credits. Especially with Minstrel Sad on 24 credits. We can just vanilla from hand triple measured in this board state. Of course, once an agenda gets scored, we're still at threat 2.
Yes.
And often you find if the Ob isn't doing anything with their giant pile of money, we are doing something with our giant pile of money. So this is going to be Bastraboga into Wage, install Basalt, triple advance, and slash and burn. There's the full line. Now, no spin on the table means this slash and burn is kind of pre-eating one of those Basalt credits, Basalt counters, if it does get chased out.
Yes.
So this is only effectively a 1 counter Basalt. So not at the maximum level of threatening that it can be, but still an oppressive card.
I mean, do you ever just let the slash and burn go? Like, is the slash and burn protected by the threat triple measured?
Credibly, if you can get to 16 credits, obviously that stops being the case. But we are a long way away from that right now.
Right, but because that is not currently the case, this like slash and burn might be protecting itself here in the archives by virtue of being the fourth threat.
Oh, definitely. The question here really is how many measures are in hand.
Yes.
Because none in the bin, which means that you need 2 in the hand to pull off 3. Interestingly, if there's 1 in the bin, it's the same as it being in your hand, effectively.
But just under half the deck has been seen, the odds of 2 are 40%-ish.
It gets weird with ob maths
because of the tutors.
Yeah, non-installables are at a higher density rate.
Right.
I would expect definitely 1 to be in hand, and the threat of double measure to be live here. I think that means you have to play that there's 2 in hand.
Yes.
I do think you can maybe just pretend there isn't 3 in hand. I don't think you need to be playing around the quadruple measured here, which is worth noting is available with a wage workers and a basalt counter.
Credits for that?
Oh, you're correct. We're 1 credit short from the CSR camp, from the wall. So we are 1 credit short of credibly threatening quadruple measured. So you can kind of probably assume quadruple measured isn't real, but triple I think you have to assume is real in this board state, as long as those basalt counters are there. Now, not chasing it means that we could just see recur slash and burn, install slash and burn, advanced score, and start wheeling through these agendas that have been piling up in this uncontested hand.
It's a little bit of an awkward fork, but certainly many options available here for Minstrel. 7 cards in hand, 18 credits.
So, yep, adds the slash and burn, install advanced slash and burn. And then it has to be an Azeth, so we're going to see another card trashed. I would guess trashing the water grab a spin doctor.
Water grab spin.
And that's what happens. So now we are at 1 counter and a spin protecting our slash and burn.
Sure, but the slash and burn is being protected the same way it was last turn by the threat of...
It is, but there comes a point where you have to just say you have somehow not drawn your measures because...
Yes.
I think next turn is likely to look very similar to this turn if no contest happens.
Exactly.
What did the damage hit? Pinhole and transfer of wealth. Losing a transfer of wealth is very rough here. Especially with full breaker suite up. That swing can make a big difference in the number of measures that can possibly come out.
The pinhole could potentially have helped dismantle the wage workers, although the credit total is slightly awkward for that.
Wage doesn't matter anymore. The wage only matters if you're trying to score a slash and burn or a basalt.
Yes. But there is a guaranteed slash and burn that could be in the hand by recurring from archives.
Yes. Which means that any 3-2 does not need the wage. We are chasing it out. And the question here is spin versus basalt. Spin. So either Minstrel has another copy of Slash and Burn in hand, or is going to be hoping to re-top deck that Slash and Burn in order to enable the fast 3-2 scoring lines. Bravado is an excellent credit check. Will get us back up to 8. Yes, gets us to 8, and then we draw a card. and we are playing under double measured, but potentially losing to the triple.
So this could also actually be a reprise here.
It could.
Like
The
this could be
question is, what do you
reprise at HQ.
reprise? Now, interestingly, Basalt Steel here. Twinning is going deep.
Yes.
It is possible that this is just the win, right? How many twinning counters? We have 2 twin counters, so one access left to one access left could be the win. Isn't. And so now we have the option to draw a card and hope that we are safe to double measured and just hope that the triple isn't there, which feels very unlikely. Unless some of those cards that were seen and not trashed were measured.
Or a measured response.
And even then, you need them to not be the top card.
Yes.
So I think draw it's either draw or win the game. Now, run HQ win the game is very much a line that's available here.
Envelopment res. If that's an envelopment on HQ, the hero appears not live for that, and it'd be pretty expensive.
Might be too much. No, you can afford it just. Right? Can I do envelopment maths? It comes on with
4 ETRs and 5 strength.
Yep. So it's 8 to break. You could just throw all of your money
3,
at it.
7 or 8 to break. Yeah, depending.
Yeah. So run HQ, breakthrough, envelopment, touch agenda, win game, or draw, do something else, and hope that the triple measured is not real.
Mm-hmm. But going through envelopment with all of the credits does mean that hitting measured and turning off, like making it only a single measured, is not a viable line. Like trash one measured and draw one card.
Then you get double measured.
Right. Whereas like run HQ, hit a measured, trash a measured, draw a card is 4 cards in hand.
Yeah, it's a big risk.
It is.
Either way, this turn is a big risk. I think it ultimately it comes down to, does Thomas Haas believe that Minstrel has 2 measured response in hand? And if they're there, then the only line here is to run HQ. And if they aren't, then the only line here is to draw a card. And so really it's a question of statistics and belief. What do you think about the play pattern? Do you believe the play pattern?
That's actually
huge. Only to 7 though, so it doesn't get you the triple safety.
Mm-hmm.
So we are still just playing in a world of you do not have the triple. And all it takes is 2 copies in hand. There's no steel skins or anything in the deck. So now the alternative here is if Minstrel does have a slash and burn and a 2-point agenda, the win just happens, is another way you can lose here. It doesn't need to be the triple measured.
This can just be lost to Azef.
But we do know that we're not drawing an agenda because the mandatory draw and the top deck were both seen.
We're both seen by the twinning, yes.
Yeah.
Measured response.
And recurs, and final measured response for lethal. Why don't we go over to table 16 has Leo, which we have not seen yet. And I think every other game has IDs we've seen so far, because there is a lot of ob this round.
Table 16?
Yes, 16, yes.
So we're running on a very well-developed board state for LEO construction for Soshiko.
Key facts on the Hosh side, no sign of Ashen in the bin. if we are planning on that. If we are just playing Siege Engine, then the Siege Engine is here.
There is no action in the list.
Then we are just playing Siege Engine, and the Siege Engine is here.
There is notably a direct access in the list.
That does turn off Leo. And three more points there, going up to 6, taking a Vuln off the top, is going to upset all of the companions. We do have a lot of companion juice to get through, and touches a Mavirus for the Purge. So the board looking significantly less robust than it was when we first joined.
Yeah, how many fermenter counters was that?
Many. Ablative is going to install Mavirus, so the Mavirus is back in server 1.
Okay. That does seem like it'll help keep these leeches in check.
And it gets the Tranquility trigger to pay for the Ablative as well.
Yes.
Now, Analytic in the room. Yeah. Taka is. Paladin is also unhappy here, so we are going to see something trashed. And Paladin outs itself.
This does feel like everything that needs installing has pretty much been installed at this point.
Are we on spare fractures for the Rising Tide, or is it just the one Rising Tide?
It is a full playset of Rising Tides, but there are not other.
So we have two more of those to over-install to fully load our Rising Tide. Though with two, one of them has been RFG'd actually. We have a big pile of RFG'd cards.
Yes, there's a set of gachapons. I presume this has mostly been gachaponing.
Yes, that's the only way to RFG, I think, and we have 3 gachapons in the bin. And 6 cards RFG'd, so we are a single Rising Tide away from full board state, I believe. Yes. Now, Echelon on this board state is going to make very light work of these drafters. And twinning takes 2 accesses, finding the win.
Find the win.
Okay.
That's if we're now very angry about this.
Perhaps we take a look at who is still ongoing. Shall we go look at table 11?
Table 11. Epiphany versus Toshiko.
Oof. Very close to finished board state here. We have 2 Audreys removed from the game, 1 in play, a Gachapon, so presumably some Gachapon antics there. Although, odd number of cards removed from the game means that a Gachapon missed at some point, I think, is what that means. In terms of board state, it is the end gamest of end game board states. We are on 2 tags, a powers that be, a Hollow Man, and a bunch of cards. 3 cards on the table, some of them possibly known. I can endeavor to find that out. Server 10 is known to be a B1001. Server 12 is known to be Cohort Guidance Program. And server 13 is unknown. And we're down to just a single Audrey and nothing else. So we could just see B1001 Res and Crack here. Chips trades Audrey for Gourmand, so we're saying we're not even going to try and break anything to close this game. Gourmanding off the top of R&D and running back, getting a penetration of 2 instead of 1. Will it be enough?
Well, not this access, but
if it's trashable, then we might be able to go to deck penetration 3, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So clearing the tags to try and avoid a tag-based win condition. I'm not sure what's available, but we can imagine.
Information is.
Yeah, freedom, shipment, IP enforcement, any of these that might be present.
Yes.
Clearing out avoids those. So now we are just saying you need to have the money and means to score, which generally here you're looking at a 4-2 push on the Hollow Man, which costs you 5 credits. No, 6 credits.
Although there is double cohort guidance program.
Double cohort, that doesn't get you to the 6 though.
Does not get 6.
You could get there with Epiphany Outstoke, importantly. Epiphanying out of Stoke gives you the money it needs to turn on everything here. And we do have a Federal to order the top of the deck, so if there is a Stoke there, we're going to find it. Belgium's carefully considering the order of these cards. With the federal political text and the 2 cohorts, it can be as simple as all 3 of these come to my hand, let's dig deeper. But we used the cohorts already, actually, so we are just ordering and drawing. Yeah. Okay, takes the Epiphany, so either we saw it in the 2 cards we didn't draw, or we are hoping it is beneath them. Belgium scores the jackpot. So one must imagine that that is a Stoke about to be revealed and advanced.
About to be revealed.
That was, in fact, the 3rd card down. So was not one of the ones seen by Federal. Not a guaranteed play at all. But with this many Epiphany counters, you can afford to be a little bit risky with taking a shot at finding the win, and it's definitely worked out here. The only games outstanding are table 13. And it just ended. So that is the end of the round, with Pernis pushing Kikai to the chase bracket. We can get an overview of where everyone's gone and then kick it over to a short break while we wait for the next round to start. So it looks like Cold Lava takes the win on table 9. Davs. Oh, hold on. Is Cobra wrong here?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yes. We'll go by the bracket then, because I think the bracket is more accurate here. So we have got Pernis winning on table 13, Minstrel on table 14, Tyrus on table 15, Bullfinch on table 16, Arjorb on table 9, Ice Cream College on table 10, Viljams on table 11, and The Cook on table 12. We are saying goodbye, unfortunately, to Cold Lava, Davs, Man in the Moon, and That's No Moon, if I am reading the bracket correctly. So all very good players, all made a very, very strong attempt to claim the title of Circuit Breaker. Unfortunately, not enough into such a strong field, but I'm sure we'll see more excellent play from them going into the next year of competitive play. Shall we kick it over to a break?
I can have to a short break.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Laura, picking up from Lucille.
And I'm Frantar, and I am still here.
We just said goodbye to 4 players, unfortunately, because that's how double elimination goes. But we still have 4 players undefeated in our top cut on the upper bracket, and 8 players fighting it out in the chase bracket. Looks like we've got a couple interesting matchups here. Is there a game you wanted to jump to, Frantar?
So I was somewhat eyeing either game 18 or game 21 to see some IDs that we have not yet seen.
Yeah, I would love to see the Arasana against Ob on table 18.
Excellent. Yes, table 18 sounds lovely. We can take a look at that.
Cool.
And this will be Ice Cream College on Ob versus Pencil, piloting Arasana.
How exciting. Yeah, I know Pincel's Arasana has been the talk of the week, being decklist of the week. Really cool list, running 3 elimination, I believe. Anything interesting going on? Anything spicy going on? Ice Cream College's Ob?
It's very much one of the Basalt Spire lists, so step 1, score a 5-3.
Perfect. And the last game was a pretty powerful demonstration of how just a single bass on the table chains into wage workers using the Ob ability, and then install triple advance slash and burn, scores out the Basalt from hand, which immediately threatens double, triple, sometimes even quadruple metric response. So we'll see how this Arasana can play against the Ob. But one thing the Ob doesn't usually do is ice R&D. So that might be one atypical thing that Ice Cream College should do against the power of triple illumination.
We definitely are seeing a couple different choices with this Ob compared to the last one. This is up to 2 copies of Bass and has lost the Hollow Man.
Let's do
There
2
is
copies of Mavirus,
2 copies of Mavirus.
which could be painful if Arasana is relying on using Fizarm to get through ice.
Could be there is only one Fizzarm, though.
Yeah, and with lots of tricks with Simulship, you can always bring the Fizarm back in a pinch. So it looks like both players have taken them all again.
And as opposed to the last copy of Abuisal, the fact that Tomb of Virus are the only upgrades could potentially reveal that if there is an upgrade, well, it's Mavirus. There's not the threat of it being the Hollow Man or anything else exciting.
Yeah, the viruses are really flexible in this list. They can fetch a Regolith to shore up your early game econ, or they can fetch a Wage Workers for sudden fast advance for building combos. So really cool, really flexible synergy with the Ob ability.
Absolutely. We've seen viruses in and out of Ob for ages, just as there's stuff to fetch at 2 that is important in the meta.
Looks like this deck might be on slightly more ice than the last one, too. We see the Afshar is back. We see the same staple stuff as Winchesters. White Space can be a bit of a nasty face deck. So it's going to be an ice-heavy matchup.
That was not there last time.
And then this Arasana list, I think we haven't said enough about because everyone's been reading on the decklist of the week, but really is just the most fun. You landed Illumination, install environmental testing, DZ, a program, you're like halfway through the environmental testing, you flip off the 9 credits the next turn. It like charges a Wake Implant, which is a really interesting include to dig through R&D, which can get pretty thin in Ob. All right, it looks like the players are off to a start. And like, that's the Illumination respect, putting the 1 ice on R&D, not covering any of these newly installed assets.
Yes, although certainly finding the economy to challenge some of the higher trash cost assets that Ob has available early can be a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I don't think this deck is...
or wall to wall or wage workers certainly can eat into economy.
Yeah, some Shaper decks run Azimuth to help deal with some of those force cost trash cards, but I don't think this deck is on any trash tech
There is one
except for
Fencer.
Fencer.
Yeah. There's one Fencer.
Which synergizes with Illumination because once you illuminate, you've made a successful run, so you can use a Fencer credit to install the cards. All right, so it looks like we just began with a ritual. Installing a Paladin has also helped all with installs. A Nuka. It looks like a draw-heavy opening, but none of the economy we might want unless we see a creative or something hopefully here.
Yeah, creative last deck would be amazing. Short of that, I'm not quite certain.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the money in this deck relies on environmental testing, and we're just ending with the credit. And environmental testing is extremely vulnerable to sudden above the laws, trashing it when it's on 3 counters, just about the puff.
Above the law, yeah. Just on environmental testing can be a giant blowout. And also just this R&D being iced up, there's potentially so much econ in getting the illumination, like illumination into coalescences, into the environmental testing into coalescences, right, can really burst that economy up. And without access into R&D, that is not possible to fire and build as quickly.
Yeah. I don't know the last time I saw an odd build a board state that was all remote servers, iceless, with one piece of ice on R&D.
Yes, this is not quite the shape for you.
But a lot of assets being spanned out. We're thinking Stegators, wall-to-wall, Regulus. It's going to be really hard for the Arson to test this. Starting pinning the Nuka, hopefully drawing an option, but environmental testing can also be kind of slow econ, so not fully setting you up to contest the board immediately.
Yeah, like possibly even need to look at something like, colon to gamble, or even click gamble if there isn't anything better.
Yeah, Coalescence would be nice bounce back here. The deck is running Knickknack, but Knickknack will also be a little bit slow and paying off around 2 credit per turn. So yeah, Arson might have to take another turn to set up and hope that it's not a complete blowout from the odd. And still taking another thing here.
I
This
mean,
is one
also
that's awkward.
potentially Fasarum R&D and then send an elimination if there's good installables, but
That's true. He could either be staring at an incredibly awkward handful of programs, or an incredibly awkward hand with programs and an elimination that makes the potential to land it. So it can be really hard to calculate whether you can, one, land the elimination, and two, whether it's worth it to land, because you're probably going to need to commit something from, all right, looks like we're going for the elimination. All right, so we're going to see how self-calculated how he's going to get through this ice with our mana ability. Or it's just a tie. So we could potentially let it fire and just lose one of our possible installables from hand. We'll have to see. Pausing here in case the Arsana wants to drop down a Pizarro or something. Looks like we're just letting it fire. Losing a Coalescence, which is unfortunate. I would guess that would be one of the elimination targets.
I feel like Coalescence is one of the prime things to win it here and really build the economy. But
all right, see what we have. See that? That's good. Silent Ship. So DZ coming down for 1, Silent Ship coming down for 3. Because of the elimination discount. And for our last choice, which I think would have been the Coalescence.
100%.
Yeah. And environmental testing here would have been so good. It would have been halfway to popping already. Oh, the DZ would actually technically free because like 1 credit came off the palette. Oh, we're getting a Muse. I wonder what we're using for. Muse Coalescence.
Okay.
That would be good if you have a Knickknack. Looks like
maybe a Knickknack is the angle here.
And creative. All right, so we have a kind of board. It's unclear what the Muse Coalescence will do unless we have the Knickknack in hand. All right,
So this
drawing.
is a program to feed, an extra program to feed to the Simmel chip, and then still have a program in the future to Knickknack.
Ooh, and we're rezzing our wage workers and a Regulus, so letting us hit the Regulus 3 times, getting a click back from the wage workers. I think what to do with this last click, whether say to wait the Regulus again or to finally pick something up.
Is the Regulus quadruple click?
Yep. The famous Scrob's turn of hitting a Regulus 4 times, which you don't often get to do in a deck. Sometimes you can even hit it 5 times if you fired a Bass, for example.
Yes.
Just to show off, you know? Right, but that does give the time for Pinsal to do the setup turn that he might want to finish. Because with just a regular, we're getting money, which will start threatening the measures down the line, but not really building a board.
And the measures are not yet live. With no points scored.
Yeah, we're not at threat 4. Just highlighting that the wall-to-wall has been advancing that tide, but as was shot down the last game, Scrobs doesn't really do anything with the advancement on ice. There's no advanceable ice. There's no like parts and mines to move advancement tokens around. It was just for confusion, really. Arizona starting with a draw, and that is one thing that Arizona compared to other shape varieties It doesn't have any inbuilt draw like that does, so you're gonna have to spend more time looking to draw. Looks like we're musing for compilation. So that'll let us take off one of these assets for cheaper. I'm guessing the wage workers?
Wage workers.
We're cupping it with 1 instead of the 4.
And then is it time to sweep HQ immediately?
When we're already installing a coalescent just to get some money.
And for compression is okay.
Extract white space development. That's like theoretically dangerous because you can accidentally push 2 agendas and find yourself on the other end of measure.
Yes,
I think Control safe with 4 cards and
response. Although 4 cards in hand, 9 credits.
Yeah, he can probably be safe. Wall to wall is drawing us into options, starting with extracting the wall to wall. Fetching a 0 cluster, the spin doctor to draw into even more options. I'm guessing we probably want to put some of the ice at the point. Yeah, icing HQ makes sense after you saw the compilation. And icing R&D. Wow. It's suggesting that all the agendas are still hiding in central. Not ready to be pushed out yet.
Yes, there's what? A white space, a development, and a what's the last piece? Extract, right.
All right, now we do have the envy testing coming down, but with the spin doctor remaining on the table, you are weak to up of the lost slash and burn, so that might be something that Pincel is just accepting. Oh, and firing the bass. So maybe we just have the basalt turn on tap.
Is this wage workers?
Oh, it's above the law. Oof, losing the environmental testing really hurts. It only had 1 counter, but still, that was, what is it, 9 credits you're hoping that banking on?
9 credits recovery and 3 to play. Like it does not keep coming down. And
all right, starting with the ritual. Redrawing in a better option. Very least, the bath has been committed, so it's going to have to be spun back later.
So there is a second bass in this list.
Ah, that's correct. So I guess, yeah, Ice Cream College is able to more flexibly use the bass for just scoring a 3
for just
like
the
that.
maximum tempo.
All right, we're getting a Mary and a Devadata drones down, so we're getting ready to see 3 on R&D, possibly on our next elimination. The cards synergize nicely with each other.
Yes. Propeller is reasonably okay at going through envelopment once.
Yeah, it can use the counters to get to 5 strength, and you still have to pay 1 credit for all the ETRs, but that's true for everyone except Cleaver, which doesn't exist, and Tremolo, which sees very little play. We have all these Muse, Pulls, Muse lying around. I think Pincel's really hoping for a knickknack, but it's a 1 of in his list, so it's gonna be hard for those cards to sell off.
I mean, there is also Begamot to break multiple.
Begamot. Oh, I'm corrected. There's actually 2 knickknacks in this deck. So yeah, withdrawing through half the deck, it should be pretty likely at this point. It's one of the sad things when you build a knickknack deck. You have all these muses and pulls and ready to sell them, and the knickknack just doesn't show up. And since he's only once per turn, he just like shows up on turn 10, and you ask him why your soup was late. Ice Cream College taking a think. Not sure what he's thinking about. Maybe he's trying to speculate some fast advanced lines, but unless there are 4 of the second bass, might be a little tricky.
Might also just be running odds on R&D accesses.
That could be true, because since odd peters out ice and assets, it can be pretty dense with agendas in R&D.
There's only 1 drone in this list, so it will just be.
I'm not sure if you're too worried about Devadata Mary too, because it sees 3, but if it just steals 2 agendas, that means measured death. Oh, but looks like we're pushing off the table, so that could be, and we're advancing it. So that could be the basalt right there. And just saying behind 2 pieces of ice, you can't get it. This is an interesting line because with the Simon chip and the propeller, you would think that Arasana has ways to get through any server, but
And the credits on the Paladin.
yeah. There's a there's a knick-knack just in time after our complaining. So we'll rebate you.
Oh, I do
2
feel like
credits in
Knick-Knack
advance.
is not very good at contesting Super 9 this turn.
Yeah, I mean, he costs 2 and then he's going to pay you back this turn. So he's a 0 credit card in the first turn. It's going to take a good number of turns for him to pay off. And on turn 6, later than we'd like. But we already cracking the Muse, which will let us silent ship it back. And what do we see here? We just see a white space.
White space.
All right, so we have a Fizarm from hand. That's good. By passing for 2. Yeah, Fizarm, just such a good flexible card. There's a pause. Could Server 4 be a Mavirus?
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
it is. We're purging the Fizarm. So now Pincel would have to commit the Simul ship to get the Fizarm back onto the white space, which means that they don't have the Simul ship to deal with the second ice on server 9.
Although this list is pretty barrier heavy overall.
So it looks like we are going to Simul ship bring it back. Watching a Mute while you're at it, since that lets you get the most out of the Simul ship discount for future knickknack fodder. Oh, we're getting the Oiler instead. So this plays around double code capability. Oh yeah, and then so that's the envelopment. It looks like we have just enough credits to break it.
So the Ob Trigger has been used.
Mhm.
To eventually have the envelopment fire off its trash this ice sub and not go and fetch something.
Yeah, it doesn't fetch a nasty Winchester for HQ. So that was the Basalt, and Mexican College returned a Bass to hand. Not an extract, surprisingly. I guess he's been holding on to that advanced technique for this upcoming turn. But no, he played the extract already. So yeah, I think he's really relying on one of these Regulus sticking. But with 2 credits, Pincel can't really trash the Regulus. So
Yes.
he has another 4-hit Regulus turn lined up for him if he wants.
But also with 2 credits and the need to click these Regulus sum, this is not going to be a triple measure turn.
Mhm.
Even assuming there's
So-
an agenda still coming in here.
Based on that thinking, it looks like we're just going to go dig 3 in R&D.
I like the thought.
Being our first card. Oof, and looks like complete whip. That's unfortunate. All right, starting by hitting the smaller Regulus to fetch a wall-to-wall. That ordering actually, yeah, I did not use the Wage Workers Click because different Regulus count as
use
different activities.
the
Yeah, different Regulus count as different actions, and so because Wage Workers wants you to do the same action 3 times, you'd have to hit one Regulus 3 times in order to get the Wage Workers Click and then empty the other Regulus. So looks like we're just not worrying about it, not going to try to get the Wage Workers Click, and just installing something else for the last click instead. Seems good. That could be a Segator to get back in the money. Ice Cream College has so many ways to bounce back from money. I don't think he's super worried about Wage Workers.
certainly an interesting little bit of sequencing.
That's a rule that Mirror Morph usually quite likes because you get to take different action abilities on different cards, but a little bit awkward with Wage Workers. All right, so I was just drawing up, and now this is the danger zone, right? Because you're both have an agenda scored, so the second agenda on either side could turn on measured. So you've just got to stay on lots of cards in hand, lots of credit, installing an environmental testing again. The above the law is gone, so this one should hopefully stay alive.
Yes. But it is very safe to go, say, attack the Regolith and sell something to Knick-Knack.
We do want to get the Knick-Knack trigger.
Doctor.
Contesting with Spin I like because it closes off some lines. Again, just like standard ob as you have Flash and Burn. But we're using Ari to install a Chromatic Burn, which makes sense. It's free, it gives you your environmental testing, clickless. Yeah, and HQ is often the server you want to contest versus frogs because they hold on to the slash and burns and the basalt in hand, so they can pass against them from here. Looks like Pencil's reconsidering the Chromatic Force install. Yeah, it seems fine because the runner holds priority first before the corporation pops the conductor.
Yeah, possibly considering okay. Outside
Put
ISO
in
R&D
R&D.
instead.
Do your next 3-card dig there in the future. Maybe do your next elimination.
So I was going to say, Ob and Wayland have a number of dedicated HQ ice with the Afshar and with the Winchesters. And Pencil is actually on a singleton copy of Hush in this list.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess Hush works nicely-ish against the After, can save you 2 credits. And against a Winchester, it turns off the end the run, so that does something. But you probably don't want to let the other two subroutines fire, unless it's on your last turn. Actually, weirdly enough, I don't know. Do you know the rule that what happens if the program trash subroutine on Winchester trashes the Hush?
I do not, unfortunately. Actually, the interaction I was double checking was if you hush an envelopment before it's rezzed. Yeah, it just doesn't gain the power counters.
Yes, but also I believe you can simply hush the envelopment after it's rezzed because it.
It will have power counters, but will not gain the
Exactly.
subroutines.
Yeah.
But it also won't lose power counters.
That is true, but it will just quickly trash itself. Yeah, Hush being a really good tech beast into envelopment. All right, looks like it was just an anthill in server 9. Providing a little bit of card draw.
It also, does something against Stavka. It's not amazing, but
all right, extracting the wall-to-wall, get a conductor from our draw, and just pushing out more things on the table.
And this will be an anthill taking down next turn, potentially fetching another spin. So we sorry,
yeah,
not
the
another
doesn't
spin,
have many good targets. Usually it fetches wall-to-wall wage workers, but it's
wage
already
workers,
if you
yeah,
need.
but there's already a wage workers field.
I think you're trashing an Oiler. Ooh, finding a bath. That's pretty important to track. I think we might have to go into the tank economically a bit for this. But we'll see if we spend the hefty 4 trash cans to get rid of this bath. Yep, looks like we're trashing it. Installing Fencer, also very, very good, but a little bit late.
For
And a second move
managing the board. As much as trashing this bass is nice, this is a double bass list, and there is the Spin Doctor potentially.
Oh, and there's a second bass.
And this was not only a double bass list, but a double bass board.
And there's a flash
burn and the Salt Spire.
Yep. And really seeing the full power of crowds, while you have to sit back and be safe or measured, that's when they're able to draw into their fast advance combo. Also, just notably, with Spin Doctor and Basalt on the board, Ice Cream College has very flexible ways to save the slash and burn in arcades.
Yes, and there's the other method of saving the slash and burn, which is saying, here, look at my 3 measured responses.
It looks like we're using the Basalt to return to hand, so opening up lots of fast advance lines if you want to go for that next turn. We do know it is in hand, so if you have a way to get HQ multi-access, maybe with a time ship for a compilation, that would be one way to go try to snipe the slab. The breaking options
the one
are looking
is the only source of HQ multi-access in this list.
Though also the slash and burn in hand can't easily be scored unless there's a second slash and burn. So it's possible you can just claim that they're not able to score out. But you do need to crack this environmental testing soon to get the money back. So we're going to see what Pincel's going to do here. Only one silent chip left, so it might be hard to get that compilation. Taking a think here, maybe considering whether to pivot R&D.
Seeing the envelopment in the white space, so there's not a necessarily known ice that was tracked on top of R&D to my recollection.
Yeah. R&D is the only server that I think Pincel can guarantee to get into because he can use the propeller to break the Kesselroid. The second ice has been chromatophores into a barrier, so we can probably use the other propeller and then just let the tide fire. We're also a little bit short on money, so we really are looking for ways to fire this environmental testing ASAP.
And Knickknack's already been used this turn. There's no more credits coming in there right now.
Yeah, and this was the problem with the late Knickknack. I think it showed up only 2 or 3 turns ago, so it's only paid off a few times. Not as much as if it showed up turn 1, say. All right, looks like we're just drawing for options. Maybe drawing for the last time. We're going for an elimination.
Okay.
Can we afford all this ice? I'll have to see. With 1 credit, I mean that's the envelopment. Okay.
Envelopment.
So a hush would be all you need because of the interaction we just talked about. Hush makes an ice lose everything except its printed subroutines, and the trashless ice is the only printed subroutine.
Yes. Now that will then, has the ob trigger been used this turn? I believe not.
No, I don't think so. So it would summon something like a Winchester for HQ. But I think
Winchester or stuff goes to 4?
Yeah, but something a Sofka doesn't do that much for you, other than just making the server hard to run again without more. Okay.
True. Yeah, Sofka doesn't end the run and there's no ETRs.
The other option is I think Pincel can just afford to Muse Hush the envelopment because that will you have the discount from the DZ and you have the Paladin money. So taking a think here, our Sonic can really create some real puzzles of board states as you have a bunch of options in hand and have to deliberate about which one to pop to install for the instant speed. 2 Muses are in the heap though, so Pincel's options might be a little bit limited.
Muse Hush does also trigger the environmental testing.
Yeah.
But there's nothing then to spend the credits on.
Are there any other ways you can see of him getting
on the
to this?
elimination at the end?
Okay, looks like we're going for a Muse. 1 credit discount from the DZ and 1 credit off the Paladin. We could also just fetch a Coalescence to get money, but I imagine, oh, we're getting a Fizzarm for HQ. So opening the option of pivoting. Oh, and we're choosing to break the entire envelopment so that it doesn't summon a Winchester. That's really something I like. We're doing that damage, losing another illumination. All right, let's see how this illumination pops off. Now we got to use both the Fencer or the Paladin money, depending on what you install. I mean, you only have 4 cards left in hand, so hopefully, okay, there's a tide. Have to juggle around MU here on the downsides of JNet. Okay, it's a full. That's good money. And a wake. Very cool. Dumping our whole hand, actually. Funny enough, installing the wake third meant you could guarantee to lose the propeller into the bin, charging up the rising tide. Right? And yeah, pivoting to HQ.
With the wake newly set up and the entangler on the ice.
And this is like guaranteed dead to measured. Well, it might survive single measured after the money on Coalescence. Yeah, taking the money. Ice Cream College debating whether these are res here. I think Pincel can get through everything. Yeah, because it's exiled on Fly Swatter, right?
I mean, sure, the survive single measured with the money, but there's a basalt counter. Single measured does not exist.
Yes, but if Ice Cream College reses, he might be a little bit short economically of playing double measure. So his line might be to decline to res and then do a turn like credit
measured,
double
measured.
Yeah. Oh, and reversing the Winchester. Going to. All right, but now you died a single measured because of the cost it took to bypass the Winchester. All right. Can Pincel win? Hoping for luck.
Touch
It's just a
measured.
Castleroid. It's
That
just a Castleroid.
is-
For action, but I don't think Arsana has anything here. And yeah, there's a measured. Whew, what a game. I imagine they had decent odds in HQ.
Yeah, either hitting an agenda or hitting a singleton measured. No, hitting measured doesn't work with the basalt counter.
Yeah, because the basalt can bring it back.
Yeah.
Wow, what a game. Really well played by both players, doing the classic sort of building off of Rob's board state. While Arsana managed to land a couple eliminations, but I think the cards didn't quite lay down to the same order. Do we have time to poke into another game?
I think we can probably check it out briefly.
How about table 21, Tiffany versus Magdalene?
Actually, I don't believe we've seen Magdalene yet.
Yeah, me neither. Magdalene being one of the rarer shaper IDs. You're seeing a lot of Lat and that one Arsana. A similar knick-knack build. Just ripping one off the top of R&D. Some Prince's money not looking great.
That is a hushed funhouse on server 5.
Actually, it's extremely good tech against Funhouse. Funhouse usually these decks want to use as a guaranteed tag. So that B1001 has a pretty guaranteed end to run. But you hush it,
Yeah.
doesn't give you a tag anymore.
Yeah,
We're prolonging the mess
VSAs
stage.
or the funhouses.
We arrived just in time at the end of the game. Couple agents sweep HQ. Deal a bunch of points. Saying top R&D with agendas.
Oh, yeah, well.
Around. I'll just take a look at these other games to see how far along they are. Looks like we have a. I went to a game and it's just ended. Looks like the round's maybe finishing up. So let's go to a quick break here.
Yeah, we get to break here.
Yeah, we'll be joined by some more fun casters soon. Don't go anywhere, everyone. Bye.
5, 4, 3.
Circuit Breaker Invitational Final top cut. I'm commentating here. I'm Laura. I'm here with Grantar and Jai. Do you want to say hi?
Hello, I'm Frantar. I'm delighted to be continuing to cast here for another round.
Morning, everyone. I'm awake, I think.
We have our bracket visualizer up here. Shout out to Core for helping us organize this, keep all the rounds clear. So we have 2 players still remaining undefeated, Minstrel and Tyrus in the winners bracket, in the upper bracket. And Analyze, Chris, Ice Cream College, Williams, and Kikai fighting it out in the taste bracket. We saw goodbye to Ardor, Pincel, Thomas Haas, and the Cook in the last round. Pincel, that really tight Ari versus Ob game that we watched.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good game, even when I was like watching it on stream. Yeah, I mean, commiserations to those whose circuit breaker chasing dreams have been cut short. But yeah, we keep moving forward, and we have 8 players left. This is our top 8.
And did you say it was an unfortunate moment for APAC?
Yes, I did mention it off camera. Our job, our one and only APAC representative hailing from Australia, of course, falling to Analyze Chris in that last round. So of course, eternal vengeance will have to be sworn, and so on and so forth. But we'll leave that for another time.
If I remember correctly, I think Williams may have won through APAC. I don't think he is physically in APAC, but that was a poll he competed in.
Williams, yes, I think Williams is from EMEA, but did play in the APAC pod as many people are wants to do.
Anyways, looks like the games are starting, so we can jump in. We have a Leo and 2 Ob games, so I think we can go into this Leo game that Analyze Chris is playing against Texas College. It looks like the table's still getting set up.
Yeah. Just want to shout out that we are getting ourselves into a good old Chris derby right here. Both of our players, both our protagonists for this game named Chris. We'll see which Chris is harder. Ooh, what?
Yeah, we can take a look at the deck list here.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Analyze Chris playing the 7 agenda Leo that we've seen around since World. Took him to something similar, I assume. Took him to first place undefeated on the World Swiss.
Yeah, 12-0, very impressive.
Yeah. I think the interesting includes in this list are one ablative barrier, which can bring back important tech pieces or bring back your Mershas, bring back your upgrades. There's one of unsell, which can be an annoying break point for our echelon sometimes.
Yes. And yeah, the predictive planograms and Hans areas are 2-2 split on this time. Don't know what the math is on that, but seems all very present and correct. And the void, and as you said, with virus. On the runner side, we have a little bit more. This is, I think, a much more standard Anacam lab. So we have seen some variations of it, of course, on Transfer of Wealth, but this one appears to be on the more stock clean getaway versions.
With the win con of Cataloger, which nicely can't get stopped by the Leo abilities. It looks like the games are starting.
Yes. Yeah, I guess we can get straight into it.
It's like both players took a mulligan.
Double mulligan. Yeah. And oh, okay, this is a Mercia Rest, almost certainly. And we almost certainly, yes, will see it installed on this server one, unless he's probably just deliberating on which eyes. There we go. And he's saying, I've played 4 cards on turn 1 after my mandatory draw. Time to try to get lateral off of disposal.
Come get what's likely this humanoid too, which will draw you into even more cards next turn. Draw you into more cards and play more cards.
Yeah.
This is the fun thing about playing Leo against Shaper too. You really don't have to respect, since you know the deck list that is not on transfer, you don't have to really leave any, put any ice on HQ too early.
Yeah. Doing this against like a lad that you know is on transfer, or even a criminal, God forbid, is would be fairly suicidal. Yes, and that that click to draw, click 1 from Ice Cream College already signifying weakness and that let draw is not going to be had. Okay, so mandatory draw, and it is a humanoid. That is a perfect start from Analyze Chris.
Mhm. All right, we're getting the first install. The real question with these humanoids is always if you manage to fire the operation, but with the mix of hedge funds, petty caches, Hanseis, is this actually petty? Sorry, is this actually petty cache? No, petty caches.
Planograms?
So,
Planograms.
Pentagram.
Yeah. And I imagine that if we get another install that we go enhance a review, to trash a card. We got a 2 cards. We can even drop down to 1 card if Mercia gets another trigger here. And oh my goodness,
There you go.
Yes.
Man, building that shape for you like this in 2 turns.
Yeah, you know how PD can like stop the let draw by just going up to 6 cards every turn? Yeah, this is the opposite version of it. Yeah. In the chat, we see that
chat, yeah.
Challenge hard. What is the 4-star if that's the case? Hello?
Extreme Kosh complaining that he was hoping to use his ID. And see, this is why you should be playing Magdalene, because then you're in control of getting your ID. Or even Shadow Daily, you get a card draw just by making the run.
I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but unironically, I would probably choose to be Dewi in this spot. It breaks my heart to have to admit, But yeah, you're right. In this one,
getting down a SMC and a simul chip. We're ready to contest 1 ice, but it will be really expensive to try to contest 2 if you have to chip off the SMC. And Chris just corporate hospitality. What are we getting back here?
It's the face down. Okay, I was half expecting it to be the humanoid.
Me too. Do you think the face down could have been an agenda? Maybe a spin.
Spin. Okay. Remember when you said the let minigame challenge level? I think the difficulty just went up by like another half a star of the spin install.
Well,
wait a second. What? That's not right. What the heck?
Is there a run punish?
A third humanoid in the remote? Wait, it's an agenda in the remote, possibly.
Yes,
yeah. It is a vuln audit. Okay, that's. I mean, not awful, and this Mercia is still doing very good overtime.
So as much as this is a very developed board state, add a healthy credit total for Analyze Chris. 1 card in HQ, possibly not anything to push into this well-defended server.
Yes. On the other hand, if given that Ice Cream College is on 2 credits and there's 3 counter fermenter, I think that it may be worth it. Okay, yeah, I was considering if it was worth it for Analyze Chris to take a turn out to purge here, but it looks like he's valuing the speed and trying to push out the points before Let can get into the game.
Notably, Chris hasn't seen a Tranquility yet, which is going to be an important econ backbone for this deck, because on 12 credits, the moment you res a Brawn, res an MIC, you're bottomed out.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like Ice Cream College will be able to push out this fermenter for 8 credits. I've really asked for better than that.
And speaking to the cost of ice, there's definitely potential to sort of fork the servers here. Is protecting server 1 implicitly gives up protecting HQ, gives up protecting R&D, and vice versa.
Well, looks like we might try to greed out this fermenter 1 turn longer. 5 counters is a really juicy number.
Greeding this fermenter, that's insane. All right, so Chris, passing the ball back to Chris, saying, okay, I shouldn't say that because both of them are Chris. Passing the ball back to Analyze Chris. Yeah, there we go.
We have Corpo Chris and running Chris.
That's right. It's Chris Bowl 2026.
This one's getting a pretty good board setup. So even without that fermenter, they're ready to contest nearly anything soon.
Yeah, and so this catalog obviously gets stuffed by the Spin Doctor lying around, but luckily Ice Cream College has this has this wheels to chase out this spin clicklessly. Of course, getting through R&D ice with 16 credits, now 15 after the advance, is a different story altogether.
Whoa, and
Well-
just single advancing in server 1.
Forcing 10 credits out protecting R&D is certainly setting up to run server 1.
Yeah. Very valid. I don't think I've ever seen 6 hardware. Well, not ever, but I haven't seen 6 hardware installed by a shaper in like at the same time in quite some time. There's 3 simul chips just sitting around. We do have SMC access, so with overclocks we can maybe make something happen.
Now, do you think the server 1 push is safe? Because there's no defensive agenda, so it's simply just ice in the Mercia.
I mean, I said the
There could be
Mercia,
an
like,
Anoetic. There is an Anoetic in the list.
Right,
Yeah,
but
I
not in
mean,
server 1 right now.
with 15
Oh,
credits
yeah.
and 2 ice, like Bran +1 with Mercia backup, I think is like, and let's just will feel like fairly confident in trying to go for this. Okay, here comes the overclock. Let's see how
So we spec
NLS
with
Kid
the
responds to
coalescence,
this.
so simul chip is turned on and you can fetch anything right now.
Yes. Okay, Drafter is like quite annoying as a first ice to come into, so we chip the SMC for Revolver. This is all very standard practice. And what comes next? 7 credits remaining. Bran. Okay, so this is like not too difficult as well if we are getting a propeller. Of course, this is our second simul chip used in the same run. Not cheap. I guess the question is if you continue here, 1 credit remains. Oh, we can always simul chip back a coalescence, so we are playing with a little bit more house money, or at least, and Ice Cream has to respect that Ice Cream College is playing with a bit more house money than on face value. Small thing, not a big one.
I mean, if this is... I mean, these are biroids, they can be clicked through potentially. Or at least diffused somewhat.
Yes,
And
so
simply burning Analyze Chris down to 2 credits, 3 credits, not enough to square out the agenda. At
yes,
2 potentially, if borrowing seamlesses.
yeah, and I think Ice Cream College, even if it doesn't get in, if it forces a big rest of a second ice, a second like big size ice, like a
if this
Bran
is 6
or a
credits for an
Mick,
Omcell or a Brawn.
yeah, I think he will take that as a small win. And we do see the Mercia pop. A victory in itself, but let's see what Ice Cream College can convert out of this.
Yeah, right now the Brawn's doing a lot of defending because you can't flicker the propeller since you've already trashed the program. The only other option is the SMC again or the pressure spike in the bin. And since we're not at threat 4 yet, pressure spike's actually pretty awful at breaking Brawn. So there's always a temptation to let Chris score this agenda, go down to low money, and then turn on pressure spike's ability. Is that threat 4?
Yeah, I think Ice Cream College is really like. I hope Ice Cream College has a. Oh no, there's no creative commission in that hand. That's
Oh,
not
no.
good news. Yeah. So NSQs can go down to low credits. Okay, so we just triple advance, going down to 3 on this Vuln audit. We will discard a card. So Ice Cream College does have an opportunity to chase out the spin and get a cataloger push
Just spend
in.
catalog R&D.
Yeah, it is possible, but like the credit totals make it so touch and go, right?
I mean, the French is representing a decent supply of credits here. There's still chip potentially for another coal.
Oh, compilation is really good. This comes down for free, of course, and this almost certainly forces out the spin doctor, right? Yeah, so we won't even have to pay for it. And you imagine after this is going to come the cataloger run. I don't
Or
think
you can sweep
anything.
the hand first.
Well, to sweep the
Possible,
hand, then
yeah.
just do something on the compilation, like 1 axis is, I think, not. I mean, run twice.
Yeah, I mean, getting into your cataloger digs for free is quite nice.
Friends, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say it right now. If Analyze Chris goes like install credit in server 1 next turn and like represents Lumina, I'm gonna lose my shit.
It's always luminal.
It's always the freaking Lumina.
All right, we're just running back. So it looks like we hit an agenda.
Just run back. Ice Cream College, please steal a Luminal so I don't have to deal with like this on like my psyche. Are we getting a res here? Cheeky little ablative barrier res, maybe? I guess that would have been done. Oh no, that's not necessarily
No,
true.
because
If
now
you
there's
res
presumably the knowledge that there's
Oh,
something
we're going to zero
find.
here?
No.
We're going to zero on this?
Hopefully, Chris has a planogram in hand. Okay, and just an audit, which is pretty good to steal. Not the luminal to
Yes.
calm your nerves, but
Yes, and the thing is, like, of course, we're clicking for 2 credits, obviously.
Oh.
Okay, we're not
One.
clicking for 2 credits. Is this humanoid number 3? It would be.
So there are seamlesses in the list. This still scores with credit seamless on a luminal.
Yes.
Credit
it
seamless
is, which
advance
I
on the
lose
luminal.
quickly. Yes, credit seamless advance. And I will definitely lose my shit if that happens. Don't worry about that.
I think one seamless was shuffled back, but that's only the first seamless is gone. There's still 2 in play, and the third one could be drawn again.
Yeah.
Okay, so the corp is on exactly 1 credit. I am thinking of a line here whereby Chris, let's say, pops this fermenter, click 1, and then wheels run server 1.
Mm.
And maybe we can click through Brown or something like that. And the fact that Analyze Chris is on a single credit to his name, you can potentially even let the first sub fire, double click through Brown and ask if Action Coach can ask if like he's willing to. Oh yeah, this is the exact play, right? I think this is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to break drafter with Revolver, of course, click through the second 2 subs on Bran, and see if Analyze Chris is willing to trash. Oh no, we are just getting Spike. It is Threat 4. Okay, fair enough. We're going to 3 credits. And
It's
yeah,
quite
and,
intense to stall. Credit to break.
yeah, so Bran is the only buy red on the server, Resable, that's already been res and you can't res anymore, right, on a single credit. So
Right.
asking here
Do you trash Braum?
whether they're willing to come. Yes, whether they're willing to come for this trash, Bran trash. Mercia is the excess and humanoid. Oh, okay.
Right, just enough credit.
Cut the humanoid.
Interesting.
Okay. I guess yeah. You access cards like 1 at a time in order. So
Yeah.
I think Ice Cream College cheated himself out of 1 credit there.
But it's fine.
But yeah, that's a little bit avoidable given the given
There's
order
not the
in
information to
system.
not do that.
Yes.
He might have been keeping the 1 credit in case it was Tranquility, because Tranquility is the other way that Chris bounces back here.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Like on 3 credits exactly. I mean, of course, the optimal play would have been to access humanoid resources first. That's just a misplay on Ice Cream College's part, you know.
Right.
Just gotta be lucky.
Yeah. So of course we know the top 2 cards of R&D are clean because of the cataloger. So Ice Cream College on this credit total still has the option of going back, clicking for credit and running HU to sweep and make sure there isn't like a cheeky Luminal lying around. And I think that's what it's considering now. Credit, and no, okay, creative commission. No let draw still, but I think he's in a much more comfortable position than he was 2 turns ago.
Now, one thing I'm noticing is that Ice Cream College has burned through all 3 simultaneous, and this revolver is empty. So breaking sentries might be a little bit tricky.
True.
It looks like he has a 1 echelon though.
There's 1 echelon. You can also throw the revolver at something directly for 1 very high value sub.
In case of emergencies, you know. So, like worst case, you can break the drafter install sub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2 credits. You have the option here as Ice Cream College to go back into R&D. I believe you know the top 1 card. So this cataloger will be seeing 3. And Light is also representing once again the seamless luminal.
So now it is possible to just go into HQ, sweep HQ, and know whether or not there is a seamless in HQ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like he should know most of the cards in HQ from the cataloger log.
From the cataloger.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's entirely possible that he knows already that there is a whether or not there's a seamless lying around. And unless you think that Chris has been like holding on to like 3 agendas for the majority of the mid game, which seems unlikely given like the low hand size situation from earlier, that there may not be much point in getting a compilation sweep once another card has entered server 1 as it has already.
Yes.
What do you think is in server 1? Because all the humanoids are called for, are accounted for, and there's 2 Mershes in the trash too.
2 Merciers, as you said earlier, could be a Trank Grid. And of course, the defensive upgrades are still live.
So also coming back to the revolver for a second, actually, as we see the Echelon come down to solve the breaker issue, but Ashton College is on a copy of Palongi. So if there's another SMC outstanding.
Oh, don't do it, Chris. Okay, yeah, I thought he was going to click for 2 credits and then advance a card. Ooh, that would be spicy. That would be spicy, but no. Just click for 3, representing hedge fund, of course. And now R&D is fresh. So Asking College has another clean cataloger, assuming that server 1 isn't another Spin Doctor.
Spin Doctor.
Oh yeah, that would be really good to hide in server 1 and make them use the cataloger counter and then spin them away. I think we're probably going for it.
Just going for it. All right.
Although, I mean, even if the Spin Doctor
Another
is
drafter.
resident
Good
shown,
grief.
that's...
So we will break all these subs. So technically the core damage on Boomy is like, fireable, but we're maybe not at that desperate of a stage yet. But here comes Cataloger. Worth noting that we probably we are credit perfect to break all the subs on both of these ice, including drafted a second time if Boomy gets popped on the run back. No action on, says Chris. Not that you need to do any action here because there isn't an ability to click to directly access here.
And notably, I think College's decklist is only on 1 cataloger, and so it wasn't charged with Stone Chip. So I think that's the end of all the R&D multi-access, and so they're just clicking for credits. Setting Latra.
The question mark?
That's asking for Latra?
All right, so 2 credits on Analyze, Chris. Yeah, so like R&D has held quite evidently from Analyze Chris, and so he's probably thinking his lucky start that he didn't just immediately lose there. Did we see like a petty cash or something to the effect? Oh no, there's no petty cash in the list.
No petty cash in the list.
Yeah, well, just
Just
click for
credit.
central. One thing we haven't talked about is that there are 2 copies of Pinhole Threading in this lat list. So I wonder if Asking College has like access to at least one of them already, and whether he's thinking about like sending it to just double check there isn't any sneaky business happening in server 1 regarding another agenda being hidden in there.
Yeah, because there always is the fear that Analyze withdraws into the second seamless, and so it could just be a Sam waiting to be never advanced in server 1.
Absolutely.
All right, getting another
propeller. Yeah, one that happened 4 turns ago. Yeah, that manual purge I think was very necessary on the side of Analyze Chris, but also definitely hurt him a lot.
Oh, looks like we're Hannah fighting what's in server 1.
Yeah, okay. This propeller is gonna make this breaking this brand a little bit easier to swallow. So this is a 5 credit clickless run.
And we are holding out a juice list left in case the Managarm.
Absolutely. Yes. 3 spec works have been used, 3 simul chips, 2 coalescences.
Well, the Managarm Anoetic does force the tag float.
Managarm Anoetic, you probably just have to bounce.
Yeah, Managarm Anoetic. I think the tag float is like fine from Chris's perspective. Oh, ablative
Ablative.
is spicy. We can force a. I mean, it's a humanoid. Are we seeing a humanoid in the new remote here? And like humanoid into skunk, and saying, if you, yeah. So this seems
humanoid?
like a skunk play, right? Surely. There's a Managam here and say you pick between accessing server 1 and letting me have this humanoid. Yeah, there we go. That's a really nice fork. Like Chris doing what he can on very low resources. Send a mess. Oh, that one's nice. That one's spicy.
Making the right choice.
Yeah, that's a really nice call. Okay, so Chris going up to 4 credits on this. I think critically not being able to play Hansi Review or Hedge Fund on this. On this humanoid fire, so options a little bit limited, but again, doing what it can with limited resources, and this will.
Going down to 2 credits to put the third heist in R&D.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's only one ablative, right? So this is the end of like the trickery that Chris can get up to.
Yeah, only one ablative.
So I guess the question for the lot is how exactly he is going to get enough multi-access to win an R&D, or is he just going to have to keep looking for singles? Because Chris can just click for credits, and then when an agenda comes into hand, push into server 1 fairly safely.
Yeah, I mean, both players on such low resources right now. I mean, this game got off to like an extremely blazing start from Analyze Chris, but it's like slowed to a crawl after like in this like extremely protracted mid game. Ritual is a very good start for Asking College. Clean Getaway Archive saying there's nothing we have that's 2 credit res, and we see a Hagen answer discards. Obviously, no credits to install them.
Yeah, nothing there.
Analyze Chris yeah, I think Analyze Chris is just trying and praying desperately to be able to scam some kind of Luminal plus defensive upgrade in server 1. Are we going credit install? That would be bold. Very bold. Given that all 3 vulnerability audits are out, you would need exactly 2nd and 3rd seamless launches. I guess 1 got shuffled back, so 2 out of the 3 seamless launches that you have.
That's just a upgrade going down on R&D.
Machine number 3, possibly.
It's either Machine number 3 or Anoetic.
Yeah, and if it's Anoetic, you probably want to save Anoetic for server 1 because you are running thin on defense upgrades. And with the only Managarm trashed and 2 Mercies in the bin, I think Chris is also really desperately hoping for a spin to shuffle back some of these cards. And just looking for credit.
For 4. Yeah, we're in that stage of the game against Leo, huh?
Okay, and there's a hedge fund back in the money.
Well, we made it. Oh, and Chris has made it to hedge fund money. Okay, it took a while, but we got there. And we push. So in theory, like the number of credits that Analyze Chris has is like not relevant to like the nature of what is being installed in server 1 here. Because of the and asking for just saying let's check. Oh no, are we not checking? No, okay, I guess he doesn't want to check.
He's probably assuming that it's a Boomy on Archive, so that would use a Leo ability to turn off the pinhole. But then if they fire the Leo on the Archives run, then you should be safe to just run server 1 direct.
Yeah. I think the alternate. Palagi. Okay, this is an interesting adjustment.
He also needs to play on Cookit because he doesn't have decoder yet as board.
Exactly. Yes, and like we haven't seen a mic yet on anything. I mean, I think a mic on Archives would be very spicy. Okay, here comes the Boomy, as expected. So we'll break both. Can we get through Bran twice is the question. I guess the answer
Well, you
is
don't
yes.
need to, because if they're Leoing you, then they would need to trash the Brawn. So you're really just getting through Brawn once.
Oh, all caps thinking, right? Hold up. No longer a small think. This is a big think.
Big think.
Okay, letting the panel go through. And what is
Okay.
it?
We're seeing R&D or server 1 is the spicy part.
That's a good
I
question.
don't. I can't. It can't be R&D, right? Surely.
I think you have to
surely
check
are
server 1,
assessing-
Has to
yeah.
check server 1.
Yeah, you have to. You have to check. You have to check. Oh. Oh. But it's spicy.
Okay, just
Crash.
controlity.
Okay. Crisis averted. Let's all go home.
But with the
So
Pelungi
not the
commit,
Mashia.
does Analyze Chris ever just go purge, chip the turn back?
Potentially, but
I
I'm not
think-
sure if purging Pelungi is that high value, considering Ice Cream College probably just draws into the Unity pretty soon.
Yeah, 6 cards left in the stack. Just a quick econ check. 3 gambles, 2 commissions gone. Still a couple of overclocks left and a single pinhole.
Yeah, that last pinhole is going to be really clutch to suss
Last
out
pinhole's
what
big.
suss out whether it's a luminal push that is haunting your nightmares.
There's also 2 stone chips left, but the only thing they have to charge is Propeller, which is
In
not
theory, if 2
impactful.
stone chips charge a propeller, that gets you 1 Brawn for cheap.
I mean, you spend a
Just
click to
clicking for
play them,
free.
so it's like
Oh,
credit you
Mercia
didn't click for.
R&D. Wait. Is this going to be a 4th ice at R&D? It has to be, right? Yeah, okay. Goodness. I guess we should do a kind of like ice count here. We've got 9 ice installed in a I don't know what to call this, a reverse F formation. And 2 discarded. We're just going overclock. We're just challenging the machine directly. Okay.
Yeah, because if Chris is only at 5 credits, you can't res
like,
like
can't
MIC or
res.
anything annoying.
Yeah. Okay. So
I mean,
looks like
res.
we're just like this is just the echelon show, I guess. So 6 credits to get through all of this stuff, and then we see if we pop Mashia at the bottom. Yeah. So this overclock is a good way to chase out a Mashia for relatively low investment. And Chris, yeah, I think
like it just
really didn't want to
to
have to do it, but
challenge these before they get all stacked up.
yeah.
And the credit differential is really being built up now. I see College at a healthy 21 credits, while Analyze Chris only has 2 credits, which is really not enough to push safely, I think. Looking to draw, that maybe tells us about what's in hand. Either digging for something for Trank, or you've drawn it for Gen and want to lower hand density against that compilation.
We did see the lat hard mode matching hand size earlier, but 5 to 5 looks pretty easy these days.
Okay, so just to double confirm, all 3 Mershias are in the bin already. There are 3 agendas left in the game. All the humanoids are gone.
So
That
server
is
1 could be Anoetic,
incorrect. No,
2
no.
spin.
There's 1 humanoid left.
Oh yes, 1 will shuffle back at one point. Looks like we're just Hannah running server 1.
Oh no! The 3rd humanoid's on the compilation. Okay, so humanoids
yeah.
are accounted for, and so yeah, Ice Cream College. We are just clicking through this run. Very wise choice.
Yeah, and Hannah doing great work here.
Ooh. You know, I think Ice Cream College is perfectly fine with taking a tag off these wheels, and I don't even know if you like care enough to clear this tag.
You might be worried about Planogram as bounce back.
That's fair.
It's
There's like one
want to
Planogram
draw
left in
because
the
it must
deck.
be all the agendas still left in play.
So it's 6 credits at this point for a R&D single access. I wonder if that's ever worth it.
You could also consider cup sweeping here, because considering that Chris had to discard 2 cards, it should just be agendas left in HQ if he's drawn any yet.
Yeah, very, very valid. Yeah, so the thing is like if Allies Chris draws an agenda here, you can planogram. Oh, very very good shot. Ooh, cannot draw.
But he must be digging for a spin doctor, right? So he can clean out his hand a little bit.
Yeah, and discarding.
you
Oh
credit.
wow, okay, that is like a massive red flag, right? If you click for credit here instead of installing the track grid, because like we know this track grid can support at least one analytic fire.
Yeah, and Ice Cream College
And I think,
immediately
as you
showing
said,
weakness
yeah.
going for HQ.
Yeah, we will see the cup sweep here. Small think, okay. Back to small, the sine wave of thinking. Hospitality, trash, make hedge fund. Okay. 4 cards.
Yeah, I think Chris was considering whether to Leo there, but if you Leo, the compilation isn't committed, so Chris, Ice Cream College can just run
Yeah,
back on the
you
next
can
leg.
always just go again. And going back to R&D, all right. So this is another 6 credit expenditure. And Chris has the option to Leo this as well. Might actually. He's thinking about it. We don't know the size of the thing yet. I'd say that's at
I
least
think it's a
medium.
painful thing.
Medium?
Yeah,
medium
painful
large?
sounds right.
Yeah.
Single nothing. Woo-hoo. We are gaming.
Okay,
other
so
important thing for
archives of the
analyze-
deep dive?
I'm
The
so
important
down
thing
for
for
a deep
Chris
dive right now.
is that if he ever trashes one of the boomies, that opens up a server for the second pinhole. And if the Anuetic gets pinhole, you might be a little bit doomed.
Yeah. Okay, so Chris has to go like click draw again. What is happening? Okay, yeah. Here comes the install trank. And I guess the question now is if Chris can crack this server twice.
Possibly 3 times if the Braun crashes for Leo.
Yeah.
So we play the game once again. Is it Luminal?
So if let's say we wheels the Bran now, if we wheels and click through Bran, I'm not doing the math on like the other 2 ice for the moment, and we get voided for the first time. Okay, pinhole is pretty good here. So pinhole HQ, and so let's say what happens if Chris Leos this? Yep, there we go. I guess our option is to run R&D now.
Yeah, you could run server 1. You only have to run server 1 twice because of Leo is off.
I don't. As in, this is the second and last pinhole, right? So like, there's no way we can crack Analytic Void. So I feel like the best way is to go centrals at this point. We know that if we assume that our server 1 is an agenda, let's say let's call it the Luminor, right, for argument's sake. Then there are 2 agendas left in the game between like these 6 face downs, 4 in R&D and 5 in HQ. So 15 cards to find 2 hits, but it's not definitely we can assume that most of them aren't. Okay, we overclock R&D.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the best choice. We still are keeping up Palangi, so we can break a code gate. Looks like there won't be a code gate though. All right. We call it 2 in 4, right? If we assume that if HU is clean. 2 in 4 to find agenda on the top of R&D. Looks like probably no action here. We can't Leo again.
Both players holding their breaths for the single. Ooh, resting a Spin Doctor!
Ooh, there's no way!
So there must be some in Archive. Alright, checking HQ, because you just drew into unknown cards.
Yeah, checking HQ. Oh, this is so spicy now though.
Seamless?
Seamless launch. Okay, yeah, we knew that was there. Do we check? Yeah, we just run back, right? Because there's 2 in hand.
Hedge fund seen
We
again.
assume there's 2 in hand. Oh my goodness, what is going on?
There may only be 1 in hand because 2 could be an archive.
I mean, there could.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. There very well could be. So
Yeah, spinning 2 back, 3-1
face
chain.
downs.
That was spin after mandatory draw. That was spin after mandatory draw.
After mandatory
Yeah.
draw.
Do we ever ice R&D here? We kind of have to, or do we? Or so there's 2 agendas left in the game, and Chris knows exactly where they are. There's at most, I want to say at most 1 in H. Whoa, hold up.
Oh.
Hanse is interesting. This indicates that almost certainly both of them in R&D, correct?
And I guess that means
so
he just
now
wants
the
money
question
to res
for-
the outermost dice on RNG. So it could be like a Braun, and then there's unlikely to get through Braun twice.
Yeah,
And this way he has money for the R&D
is
ice
there
and
a
the
way
analytic.
for so is there a way for Ice Cream College to crack R&D twice?
Ice Cream College might be locked out here. So yeah, looks like he's just going for a hopeful dig on
Check
archive.
archives. But
And this is unlikely to hit, right?
I think very unlikely to hit.
Oh, wait, hold up. Yeah, undo. Okay, I think we are at we have hit that point where we are taking core damage off of Boomy.
Mhm.
It is probable.
This also runs into the virus that you know is an archive. So we'll purge your Plongi, and it's server. If R&D is just an LIC.
Yeah, that's
can't get in.
that would just straight up. Yeah, it looks like I think we are only going to we are breaking with 1 credit, taking a call. Anakam will trigger for no effect, and yeah, I think we didn't really expect anything here, right? Palanque
Yeah.
get purged, and I guess the only recourse is to run HQ 3 times, 4 times with wheels, I
HQ
suppose.
3 times and hope, but I think that hope is a very slender one.
It is like fairly slender, but like if the I think the only hope is to oh, we are clicking for credit. What's going on with this?
Maybe in case if there's anything to trash in HQ to increase your odds.
Yeah.
Oh, or was it a misclick?
Yeah, it might have been a misclick. Yeah, I think like the only way is to send HQ 4 times, right? And to hope that Analyze Chris drew multiple agendas on the spin, but it seems unlikely. Seamless. Oh my!
Looks like his hand
Seamless.
maybe all seamlesses.
You're not allowed to run more than 3 of those in a deck, Chris.
yeah.
Come on. God, I hate Leo. Ugh.
Wow, what a lockout. I think he's a triple seamless just for the show. There's a send a message.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, great game.
It wasn't even the Luminal. Good grief. Right.
Yeah. Wow, Analyze Chris really just violating the board to perfection. And yeah, it was the MIC on R&D. He's resing, so there wasn't even a way to get in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unicards. Yeah, I guess we have the winner of Chris Bowl. Congratulations to Analyze Chris, making it to, I believe this is top 6 of the CBI. Commiserations to Ice Cream College. Top 8, still extremely respectable result.
Yeah, and Chris just giving an absolute showing of how to play that Leo to perfection. You know, he got into that like scrappy mid game, low end credits, but his click for credits and like locked up managed density and ended up in that final lockout board state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, good game. That was fantastic. Chris clawing that back against another Chris. 2 phenomenal players. Real quick, we have some announcements to make. My name, by the way, is Andre for the Metropole Grid. I go by he, him. I've been behind the camera here. But we are going to be throwing it to a break. Again, for CBI, we're now down to, I believe, our top 6 players after a whole year of competitive play. So what's going to happen here is we're going to do a really quick sign off because we're going to be throwing it to a break. We'll be returning in about half an hour again. In about 30 minutes from now, we'll be returning. But very importantly, the stream will turn off and it'll start again. So if you're watching on Twitch, you might need to refresh your page. If you're watching on YouTube, it will be a different video. So just make sure you jump over to that, because this is just the first part of our CBI Invitational Finals. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for hanging out. If you like content like this, if you want to leave a like, subscribe to Null Signal Games' YouTube channel, there's definitely some regular content coming up here. So it's super appreciated. For those who are on the mic and are not returning after the break, do you want to do a real quick shout out? I'm not sure who that would be exactly.
I mean, I'm happy to do a sign off for myself. But,
Please.
Anyway, this is Thrantar. I had a lovely time showing up today and casting the first 4 rounds of the CBI, and it will continue without me on the cast in just a little bit.
Thanks so much, Thrantar.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for joining us. Had a great time doing
Yeah,
commentary with you
good.
last weekend. Otherwise, Laura and Jai, you're back after the break?
I think so. Yeah, I hope so.
Awesome. Okay.
Have a good break, everybody.
Have a good break. We'll be back again when it's about 9:39 Eastern. That's in 30 minutes. Again, we'll be throwing it to audio for a bit, and then we'll shut the stream down. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for hanging out. The CBI is continuing. We'll see you in just a moment.